Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Revel No Shorty, and yes, take two. It's one of the problems with doing these things live. Sometimes you make a mistake, and then one of your best friends messages you and be like, you realize you made a stupid mistake. You're like, oh yeah, I did make a stupid mistake. So I'm doing this again. Rather than look it out there, everyone can look and laugh at it, I'm just going to tell you, I totally got the right or wrong. It's literally right there on the cover, and there's something about it which just reminded me of Simon Spurrier, and I got it in my head that that's who I was reading. It's a ridiculous mistake to make, so let's correct it right now and say Chip Zdarsky has written this Batman comic book called The Knight. It's a 10-issue max series with D. Gian Domenico. I apologize for getting that name so slow. I constantly worry I'm going to mispronounce it. So, why Chip Zdarsky? Well, for one thing, his Daredevil has been one of the best things I've read in recent years. I absolutely love it. And I like the fact that they're dealing with actual street-level stuff in a street-level way, rather than just being street-level crime, so let a superhero go and beat them up, even if he comes from the streets. It's looking at causes of crime, such as poverty and systemic racism and terrible police force and all that kind of thing. It's all in there. You've got capitalism being top-down terrible. He writes that really effectively. So when he's going to write Batman, which is literally a story about a billionaire stroke millionaire beating up poor people and the mentally ill, you think, well, Zdarsky's got to do something a bit different than just be okay with the status quo there. And he does that really effectively. The period it's set in is between Bruce Wayne's parents being killed and him deciding to go off and be Batman, basically before year one, before he even goes off on his full Batman training. This is him as an adolescent, going through early 20s, like his college, university years, and figuring out what he wants, with an awful lot of help from his faithful servant, literally his servant, Alfred the Butler. And I think Zdarsky's his ideas come out through the Butler. It's basically his, I don't necessarily say his full voice in the comic book. You get a sense that he actually gives a lot of himself to a lot of characters in ways that are absolutely brilliant, but kind of like the primary focus of his take on what's going on, I think, seems to be going through Alfred. And that is done in one particular scene. Bruce Wayne has been training for quite a while at this point, and he's unhappy with the fact that his boxing trainers go easy on because he's still like a very rich man and they don't feel like they want to hurt him too much in case they get in trouble and they lose their job because they want to get the money. So he goes to underground street fights, and the action sequence is brilliant. It's one of several reasons why I absolutely adore this artwork. But at the end of it, after he gets arrested because it's an illegal street fight, and he basically gets off because he's exceptionally wealthy, he then tries to report the police who are in on it and they're trying to make money. Very much that whole white privilege, exceptionally rich privilege. I'm going to solve all the problems by reporting the police to the police. Yeah, that's going to work. But Alfred pulls him on this one and literally calls him a spoilt brat, and he's failed by making him into that spoilt brat, and effectively just says, you have all this money and all this training and all this resources, and you use them to go and beat up people who literally have to go to underground fighting in the hopes of winning enough money to only cover the medical bills they're going to get as a result of underground fighting, but also maybe get enough left over to pay their rent, buy food for their kids, pay for somebody else's medical bills. It's a little bit revisionist. I don't think we can really say that was a conversation Alfred would have actually had with him in too many of the earlier versions of the character. But it's a revisionism we think is necessary. We've already seen that Batman's moved away from being a billionaire just to a poor little millionaire, and he has been dealing with mental health slightly differently. The Unsanity Collective during Tynion's run is a very good example of how he's changed how his modus operandi. I think that's a really good way of doing it, and I like the fact that Zdarsky has basically said, I'm going to start rewriting that now. Even pre-year one, I'm going to try and have this character have the idea that beating up poor people just because they're poor instead of actually doing something about that poverty is not a good thing. And you never know, this could change the character. This could be something which people look back on and be like, right, let's reevaluate from here. Very brave thing to do. Throughout the comic book as well, as I mentioned, the fight scene, fantastic artwork. And that is just true of everything. It's true of a cityscape from a hill where Bruce and a friend are laying on the bonnet of his car, and it's snowing over Gotham, and you see the bridge going over the river. Everything about it is brilliant. Architecturally, it's fantastic. There's so many just lovely bits of three-point perspective, internal and external, where the intricacy of the detail is just outstanding. It does mean every once in a while, specifically within Hugo Stranger's office, where there's a lot of detail in the background, where there's collectibles and esoteric items, that there is just that purple haze background where writers and artists sometimes just decide, like, well, we don't need all that detail. What's more important is the focus on the characters in this one. And it bugs me sometimes. It does. I'm not going to deny that. But it feels like it's earned in this one because the amount of detail that's gone on elsewhere. I feel like the artist, Gian Domenico, I'm sorry. I think the amount of work they put into it they should not be criticized for taking an occasional panel and just being like, yeah, look at the pretty way I've drawn this person. Don't worry about the backdrop. It is genuinely not important. It isn't just lazy, I can't be bothered doing it. I'm just focusing on something that matters more. And I cannot criticize for that. In fact, I cannot criticize anything about this comic book, really. It has been absolutely brilliant. I'm really hoping all 10 issues, all the 9 issues, should I say, are going to be just as good. That's it for me for now. I'll be back later on today. I've got another Marvel comic book to review. Make sure you don't miss out on anything. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, compose a song with my name in it that you can sing down the streets, and everyone will know that I do YouTube videos and go and find me, and I'll become famous and rich. But until I come back, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.